Good afternoon, everyone. Wait for a moment. Let me share my screen. Okay. Wait for a moment. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. So this is my turn for our course about business analytics. And in this course, because I'm from the corporate finance and accounting major, so in this course, I will turn our main focus on the business analysis of the financial statements. Okay. So in this part, for my section, I will give you an overview of financial statement analysis. When you want to do business analytics, a very important part is about the financial analysis, right? So in this part, I will give you a brief review about the financial statement analysis. And the outline is like this. The first, what are financial statements? Because I know a lot of you guys are not from accounting major or corporate finance, so maybe a lot of you are, especially for some undergraduate students, right? So many of you may be not so familiar about the financial statements. So in this course, I will first give you a brief introduction about what are financial statements, and then what is financial analysis, because the financial analysis is based on the financial statements. And the last part is about the framework or the basic techniques we use to conduct financial analysis. So first, what is financial analysis? Wait for a minute. So about the definition of financial statements, actually we can I can first you tell you a background. Okay, so you know that this this woman here is called Hao Jingfang, and she writes a science fiction novel which called Folding Beijing. I don't know whether you guys heard about it or not. Actually, in 2020, I guess, the a very big event in the Chinese literary is that the science fiction novel Folding Beijing, read by Hao Jingfang, won the Hugo Award. You know, Hugo Award, a very important award in the world literacy. And the writer, actually, Hao Jingfang, is actually a nobody, and no one know her before the Hugo Award. And this science fiction novel, Folding Beijing, as you can see, the key word here is folding. And it describes a scene that many years later, because it's a science fiction novel, so describes things several years later in the future. At that time, Beijing is divided by three classes physically, three classes. And these three classes are three classes physically instead of just economically. And these three kinds of classes, they share the same Earth's surface in every 48 hours cycle. And when each class is turned down or folded, the resident there will be put into sleep. And traveling between different classes is tightly controlled, and violators will be put into jail. So this science fiction actually is an um, exaggeration of the inequality between different classes. But after then, the word folding, this word folding in Chinese character, is called 折叠, and in English it is folding, goes popular in China. And our class will also begin with this word. So here, folding is about folding of the space, right? And also all the resources people can share. Actually, we can also see folding in different kind of things. For example, as you can see here in the left side, it is a canned launching meat, right? A canned launching meat, and in the right side is a electric vehicle pile, right? Charging pile. So in the left side, what we are demonstrating here is that a simple move or a simple product is also backed by lots of technology, which means actually a simple product is followed by a lot of technology. You know that during World War II, the United States won the battle against Japan. Actually, one of the reasons was the difference in their diet. You know that the U.S. Army, they eat canned launching meat like this, canned launching meat, and the Japanese Army, they eat rice, right? Sushi. So they eat a lot of rice. So there is a big difference in nutrition between the launching meat and sushi, right? Because the luncheon meat contains a lot of protein, right? While the rice is actually carbohydrate, right? And also, you know, the canned food, when compared with sushi, is easier to store and carry. While the rice is troublesome to store and carry and easily go bad. So behind this simple food, the diet here, there are many things that is needed to support it, including, for example, the animal husbandry, right? The animal husbandry industry, and and the complete production lines and developed logistic lines to support the production and transportation of the canned launching meat, right? So a very simple food here, like the canned launching meat, actually is folded by a lot of technology. Also, like in the right side, in the right side, it is also true for electric vehicles. We know that uh, electric vehicles are very convenient, but one of the challenging things is how to charge the electric vehicles, right? So we have to build a lot of what do we call the charging piles, right? Charging piles along the road, right? Especially the speed road. So the construction of the charging piles also requires a lot of technological support. When it is very convenient for you just to take you half an hour to charge your car. Actually, we need a lot of technology to support it. So what um what I'm demonstrating here is that what you see in your everyday life, a very simple product, actually they are folded by a lot of information, especially a lot of technology. And the financial statement we are talking about actually is also can be connected with the keyword of folding because it is folding. And the whole company, right? All the information, all the business activities of the whole company actually is folded in in several financial statements, right? Because you know that the process of us folding the whole company goes like this. At the very beginning, we know that for a firm, there are a lot of business activities, right? A lot of business activities like produce the product, to sell the product, advertising, or do research and development. All kinds of these activities are needed to develop new product, right? So these are all the business activities. And um, or also, for example, if a company wants to get funds, it also needs some financing activities, right? So we have operating activities, financing activities, and also we have to invest. So we have investment activities. So all the activities that a company conduct every day is very complex, right? And different activities, if you want to reflect in a simple file, in a single document, is very difficult, right? So we have to use some standard to convert all these business activities into data. Here, we use the accounting standard, accounting rules to convert all the business activities into accounting data, And by also to make it further, to better organize the accounting data, we put it in a form or in a table which we call the financial statement. Okay, the financial statement. And the process of how we fold the company's business activities into the financial statement actually is a very general principle that we use every day, which like first we encounter a lot of information, right? A lot of information comes in, and we make connections between different information, or we use certain rules to construct to reconstruct all this information. So this will form our knowledge, and to make the knowledge more generalized, it can grow into wisdom. Okay, wisdom. So it is very similar, like the process of us converting the business activities into financial statements. So by this process, by the following process, we can convert business activities into several financial statements, and here we mainly refer to three financial statements. Okay, three financial statements. Namely, the first one is the balance sheet. Okay, the balance sheet, which describes how much money or how much resources a company controls. In the left side, how much the company have, and in the right side, it describes where does all the resources, all the assets comes from. Okay, comes from. So this is where they go. Okay, where the money goes. Okay, where all the money goes. And the right side is where the money comes from. Okay, so this is the balance sheet, the first most important financial statement. And the second, you know that when we describe where the money goes and where the money comes from, actually the total amount of the asset equals to the liabilities and the capital, or in other cases we call it equity. So it equals to liabilities, or we say debt and equity, right? And the second financial statement is called income statement. Income statement. So it describes how much money a company earns in a certain period. In most cases, it is within a year, an annual income statement. Okay, annually. Um, as you can see, it describes first how much the money earns, right? How much money the company earns. And second is we know every every penny is not earned by nothing, right? We need resources to support our money earning, right? So we must have expenses to support our sales. So here we also have some operating expenses, right? And or some other expenses. So in this statement, income statement describes how much money we earned and also how much expenses has to be spent to support our money earning. Okay. And the third important financial statement is the statement of cash flow. The statement of cash flow. So actually, the statement of cash flow is a supplement to the first two statements, to balance sheet and to income statement. Actually, back to the 1990s, we still don't have the statement of cash flow. We just have the first two financial statements. But later, people realized the importance of the cash flow because they realized that a lot of companies they go failure or they go bankruptcy when they have very beautiful financial statements, which means they have a lot of assets, a lot of beautiful assets, high quality assets, and also in their income statement, it demonstrates that they are earning a lot of money, a lot of money. The net income is still positive, but still they go bankruptcy. So why? The the reason is that because they did not have positive cash flow. So in the 1990s, the SEC's Stock Exchange Committee um, mm, they regulate the listed firms to disclose the statement of cash flow to reveal how much cash flow a company has. And about the cash flow statement, we many uh, describes cash flows from three kinds of activities. The first is from operating activities, okay, operating activities. And the second is from the investment activities. And the third is from financing activities, okay. So in the statement of cash flow, it describes the cash inflow and the cash outflow about operating activities. For example, when you purchase some raw materials, this is the cash outflow, right, for operating activities because you are spending cash to support your operating activity. And also, if you sell your product to earn cash, then this is the cash inflow, right? Cash inflow from operating activities. And the second, like the cash flow from investing, for example, you invest some fixed asset to support your future production. Then this is and we say within firm investment. Okay, within firm investment instead of investment outside the firm. So this within firm investment will also generate cash outflow, right? Generate cash outflow. Of course, some other investment activities can have cash inflow, but here they did not list it. And the third is about cash flow from financing. For example, you borrow money from the bank or you issue stocks to the shareholders, right? By this, you can have a positive cash inflow, right? It can bring cash into your company. So this is positive. And the blue number with a parenthesis is a negative number, okay, which is the cash outflow. Okay, so these are the three most important financial statements. The balance sheet, stating what the company have, right? Um, so about what the company have and where does the asset comes from, actually is like a snapshot of a company, right? Take a snapshot of a company. It is more like a picture you take about the firm on a certain point of time, right? On a certain point of time. For example, in most cases, we take picture every year on December 31st. Okay, on December 31st. In most cases, on this point of time, we take a picture, we take a photo about the company to show at this point of time how much assets a company has, and about all the assets, how where does all the asset comes from, okay? But about the income statement is more like a video, right? It's more like a video that we record about the company over the last one over the last year, right? So this is more about a period of time data, more about a period of time, right? Because when we are saying how much money a company earns, we refer to how much money it earns in the in a certain period, right? In a certain period. But when we're saying how much asset a company has, it means at this point of time how much asset the company has, right? About how much money the company earned is, it means in the past year or in the past 3 months how much how much income the company earns. Okay, so it is more like you take a video, okay, and is more about the video over the past period of time. And also like the statement of cash, it is also more like, you can have a guess, it is more like a photo or more like a video about the cash flow. Maybe it's more about a video, right? More about a video because because about the cash flow, when you see flow, it cannot be a point of time, right? Of course, it refers to the flow in a certain period of time. Okay, so the statement of cash flow also talks about how much cash you earned, or how much cash flow you generate, how much cash outflow you generate in the past 12 months, right? Okay, so these are the differences for these three financial statements. And the balance sheet and the income statement are the two most important financial statements. And the cash flow statement actually is a supplement to the first two financial statements. Okay, so here we comes to the second question about why financial statements are important. So when we are doing business analytics, why the financial statement can support our business analytics. Do you know this guy? This guy actually is a very famous businessman in China, and it is co-founder of Alibaba Group. The Chinese name is called Cai Chongxing, and English name is Joseph Cai. Now, actually, he is not only the co-founder of Alibaba Group, but also the board director of Alibaba Group. So why I put this man to demonstrate the importance of financial statement? Because you know this guy Joe Tsai, and the next woman here, Cassie Xu Xing, they are both have the background of accounting. They have the background of accounting, and they have very great achievements in investing and in business management. So you know the story of the story of Joseph Tsai. He was born in Taiwan and lives in Hong Kong, and he holds Canadian citizenship, and he traveled and he now lives in Hangzhou, in the eastern China. So why Cai Chongxing is so important for Alibaba Group? You know, back to 1999, when Alibaba was just established. I guess back to then it is not called Alibaba, just Taobao was just founded, and Jack Ma needs a lot of money to expand its business, and he asked for help to Cai Chongxing. And at that time, Cai Chongxing was a private equity investor. A private equity investor with Investor AB, an investment company. You know, private equity investors, they are investors to find business that's still at a relatively early stage, but have a great potential to grow in the future. So their job is to find promising businesses. So when Jack Ma finds Cai Chongxing for help, actually he did a lot of research about Alibaba at that time, and actually one of the persuading thing about Alibaba is that Cai Chongxing think Jack Ma has very good personality, and he want to trust this man. So Cai decided to invest in Alibaba. You know, at that time, Cai was making around 700,000 a year. In 1999, Cai was making 700,000 a year, but but Jack Ma said he could only afford to pay him 7,000 a year, 7,000 a year. That's the difference is a lot, right? The gap is so huge, but still, Cai Chongqing think that Alibaba is promising and agreed to invest in Alibaba. And we know the latest story that uh, Cai Chongqing did a good job, right? Because Alibaba has grown into the e-commerce giant in China. And Cai Chongqing also helped Alibaba's initial public offering, the IPO of Alibaba in New York in 2014. And, and through the IPO, it also make Cai Chongqing one of the most richest men in the world. Okay. And as I have emphasized, Cai's background is that it always puts a lot of emphasis in the financial statement analysis. He also has a very solid background of accounting. And another model is Cassie Shu. It is the founder of Capital Today. It is also an investment company in China, and it has successfully invested in a lot of famous company like Wahaha, Meituan. You guys know Meituan, right? You use Meituan to order food, and also Jingdong, right? Jingdong, the Chinese version of Amazon. Wahaha, I think maybe some of you are not so familiar with. It is a beverage company, especially for one of its drinks is called AD milk. AD milk. It highlights AD because it contains vitamin A and vitamin B. So this AD milk may be the childhood memory for a lot of Chinese. So Wahaha is a beverage company, and it has a lot of cash and also maintain its market position till now. Maybe it maintains its growth for nearly 30 years. That's a long time. So the growth of Wahaha also helped Xu Xin uh to accumulate a lot of fortune. And also about Meituan and Jingdong, we know these two companies are also important investments in China, right? And Xu Xin also has the background of accounting and emphasized a lot on the financial statements. So these two examples, I know maybe these are just individual examples. It is not so persuasive, right? Maybe it is just some coincidence. But here, you know that there is a book written about the mystery of capital. The mystery of capital. And this book explains why capitalism succeeds in the West and fails everywhere else. So in this book, the author's opinion is that the prerequisite for the establishment of business is the standardization of capital information, which means why capitalism can succeed in the Western countries, because in these countries they have more or more standardized capital system, especially capital information system, and also the legal structure of property and the property rights. So all this standardization of capital information through this, we can reduce transaction cost, and we can form an extensive transaction network, right? And the organized information on financial statements are actually a basis of property rights system and determines the success of capitalism. So we know the mainstream of a country to a country's development is the company, right? And to make the company to do business successful, in this book, they say a very important thing is the standardization of capital information. And to make capital information standardized, a very important basis is the financial information, right? The financial information. And we know, through our initial introduction, we know the financial statements are a very important standardization of capital information, right? Because it is comparable across different firms, and you can see how the company are doing business, how they are making money, right? So this book from the macro perspective, from the country level, the macro perspective explains the importance of financial statements. Okay, the first two examples are from the micro perspective about some individuals, their experience, to illustrate the importance of financial statements. And this is from the macro perspective. And the next part is about the function of financial statements from the users of the financial statements. For example, for internal users include the managers, right? When they are making decisions, they need the support of financial statements, right? For example, when the managers are making a decision to introduce a new or to develop a new product or not, or not next year, then the first thing it has to know is whether they have enough money or enough resources to support their research and development of a new product, right? So it has to look at the balance sheet to see how much asset it has, how much cash it has, and also see the income statement to find whether the market share of the company is growing steadily, right? So this is for the managers, and also, like, for example, for the sales managers, right? For the sales managers, when it wants to implement some selling policies, it has to refer to the income statement to see, for example, the marginal profit of the company, right? Whether they still have the space to make some discount or not, or whether their advertisement fees in the last year is higher than the industry average or lower than the industry average, whether they need a lot more effort on advertising or not, right? And also for external users, like the lenders, like the bank, right? The bank. If a company wants to borrow money from a bank, the first material they have to hand over is their financial statements. They have to let the lenders to know the financial performance of their company, right? And also the shareholders. They are the owner of the company. The owner of the company, they hire the managers to help them to run the company. So they want the managers to present them about the actual status of the company, right? And the actual status of the company can be reflected by the financial statements. So shareholders also need the financial statements, and the governments they need the financial statements to see how much tax a company has to pay, right? The taxable income. And for the labor union, they also need financial statements to see whether the company is making money or not, whether it still have the space to to raise their salaries, right? And for external auditors, uh, their main job is to audit the financial statements, right? To verify whether the earnings in the income statement is true or not, right? Or to verify whether the the assets stated on the balance sheet is real or not. Is real or not. And about customers, some of the customers they are all also curious about the financial statements. For example, maybe we will when we want to buy an iPhone, maybe we want to know the financial statements of Apple, right? How much sales it achieved, how much cash it has, or whether it invests a lot in the R&D to develop new technologies or not, right? So customers they also want to know the financial statements. So when financial statements is so important, then the question arises of can a company be fully packed in financial statements or not, right? Because before we say financial statements is so important and it is the reflection of whether the company is doing well or not, right? And we're also saying that the company is forwarded. All the information, the business activities about the company is forwarded in the financial statements. So the question here is whether a company can be fully packed in financial statements or not. We know when we arise this kind of question, of course, the answer is no, right? The answer is no. Otherwise, we won't put forward this kind of question. So why a company cannot be fully packed into the financial statements? Here I give you several examples. For example, in the left side, you know this guy, right? Messi. You know, for a lot of football clubs, their most important assets are the football players, right? This is their most important asset is the football players. So here the human resources, the talent inherent in the human resources are the most important assets of the football club, and it determines whether the company can or the club can make money, can generate a lot of cash flow in the future or not, right? So this is their most important asset. But if you ever see the balance sheet about a company, you may you don't find Messi appears in the balance sheet of a football club because under the rules of the financial statements nowadays, actually the human resources cannot be reflected in the balance sheet because human resources is intangible asset and the value is very hard to evaluate, right? The value is very hard to evaluate. So um So in this case, actually we do not reflect human resources in our balance sheet. So in some companies or some entities that relies a lot on the human resources, then this the balance sheet will not be a full reflection of a company's asset, right? And also like our Hunan University. If you look at the balance sheet of Hunan University, you will see maybe a lot of buildings or the classroom or the offices or the dining halls. They are all appear in the balance sheet of Hunan University's financial statement. But what attracts you to Hunan University? When you when you decide to study in Hunan University, is it the building, the classroom, the equipment, the computers that appears on the balance sheet attract you here? I guess the answer is no, right? The answer is no. The things that appear in the balance sheet are not the determinant of your decision to Hunan University, right? Instead, why you want to study in Hunan University? Maybe it is because of Hunan University's reputation, right? Or the brand of Hunan University, or the rank of Hunan University alongside or the universities worldwide. So these are the determinants of, or these are the important elements when you are assessing the value of Hunan University. When you think Hunan University is worth it or not, you're thinking about its reputation and brand and the ranking instead of its buildings, right? So this is and and reputation or a brand value actually are also not measurable. They are unmeasurable. So they also cannot appear on the balance sheet. So we also miss a lot, right, on the balance sheet to reflect the inherent value of a university. Okay, so this is the first limitation. When there are some unmeasurable assets and the asset is important, then the financial statements are not fully reflection of a company. And also like a lot of internet companies, we know for these internet companies, the most important assets are the the platform, right? The platform they build. But the platform actually is also some intangible asset because it is formed by the codes, the programming, right? All the programming. Um, but we know the programming is also developed by the code writer, the programmers, right? So for these kinds of internet companies, the most important asset for for them is the platform, is the codes, is the talented code writer, right? But all this cannot be reflected in their financial statement. Okay, what they can reflect maybe are the few computers, right? The computers or the building offices, right? The office buildings, the computers, all these fixed assets, they can be reflected, but we know it is not the core asset of this company. And The second limitation is that in our financial statements, we follow a rule of would rather be vaguely right than precisely wrong. Okay, I think it's a very important and generalized rule that can be used also in our daily life, which means even though we are not sure, for example, when you are making a decision, one decision is that you know it cannot make sense, and this is for 100% sure it cannot make sense. And for another road is that you are not sure whether it can have potential or not. So maybe it's only have 30% of possibility to make sense, but still you would choose this one, right? Because the second one is precisely wrong. So in the financial statements, when we try to record the business activities of a company, we also follow the rule to reflect the business activity vaguely right, then precisely wrong. Okay, vaguely right, then precisely wrong. And here I will give you a example or a back story about this. Um, you know that back to the 1860s or 1850s. Okay, at that time, the United States did not have its transcontinental railroad, did not have a railroad to cross the whole United States. So they want to build this kind of railroad and they have three companies to compete for the construction of the railroad. And then these three private companies include the Western Pacific, Central Pacific, and Union Pacific. All has the keyword of Pacific. And these three companies, they want to jointly to build the first transcontinental railway across the United States. And the cost, we know the cost is huge. The total investment in this railway reaches 4.6 billion US dollars. This is the money in the 1850s. Remember, in the 1850s, the total investment reached 4.6 billion US dollars, and it's accounting for 40% of US economic output at that time. 40% of the GDP for United States at that time. That's a huge percentage, right? An incredibly huge percentage. So the investment is incredibly high. And these companies, they do not have so much money. Right? So they have to introduce outside investors. And the outside investors is the European investors, because we know in the 1850s, 1860s, or 1860s, there is a wave of capitalist revolution, right? Revolution in the Europe, right? So they have a lot of money for the Europeans, and they want to make worldwide investment. So these three companies, they consider to introduce European investors to help them to build the railway for the United States. And now suppose you are the managers of the railway building company. You are the managers, and the European investors, they invest their money into your company to support your project, right? So they will require a return, right? Or at least they will require a information disclosure about how your company is about whether your company is doing well or not, right? For example, after the construction of the railway, they want to know how much money or how much passengers or how much money the railway road can create, right? And also how many years it needs to collect to pay back all my investment, right? How much money it needs to pay back all my investment. If for example, financial information you give to the investors is not so promising, maybe you will feel a lot of pressure, right, as the manager of the company. So you have one of the challenge you are facing with is about how to disclose the financial information about the railway company, right? About the railway company. And we know the profit equals to the revenue minus the expenses. That's a very simple equation, right? Profit equals to revenue minus the expenses. And if we do not using any accounting revenue about the revenue, uh, for example, in the first year, the revenue is of course is very high, right? Because it's a newly built railway, and people are all very curious about the railway, and they have great need to use the railway. So the revenue is high, and the expense. So how do we use this expense? How do we calculate the expense? The expense, we know before the running of the railway business, we already built the railway, right? Which means we already spent a lot of money building the railway. But so which means the whole expenses, the large proportion of the expenses actually happens at time zero, right? At suppose this is the timeline, okay? This is time zero before the running of the railway, and this is the first year, this is the second year, third year, fourth year, okay? So most of the expenses, they happen at time zero, right? At time zero expenses. But most of the revenues, they happen after time zero, maybe in the first, second, third, fourth year, right? So these are all the revenues happen. So if for example you use the real time of the real time of the occurrence of the expenses and revenues, then you will generate a cash flow like for example before the railway is running, they will have zero revenue and a lot of expenses, right? But after the running of the railway, they will have a lot of revenue and no expenses, or very low expenses, just some daily maintenance expenses, right? Then the question arises is that there will be a symmetry between the expenses and the revenues, because we know that revenues means the money we can earn, right? The money we can earn is always supported by expenses. Actually, it is always supported by expenses. Just because we already paid the expenses, that's why we can make revenues, right? But if you use the real time of occurrence to conduct our analysis, then you will make uh the expenses and revenues mismatch, right? Mismatch. They are not matched. They are not matched. So here, agreed challenge is to match the the revenues with the expenses. Match the revenues with the expenses. So suppose you are the manager of the company. How do you match the expenses with the revenues? So this is time zero, 1, 2, 3. For the revenue in time 1, 2, and 3, for example in time 10, okay. 1, this is 1, this is 10, this is 20, this is 30, okay. Suppose for example the lifetime of the railway is 30 years, okay. 30 years, which means the railway can be used normally in a period of 30 years, and after 30 years maybe the railway can not be used anymore, okay. And the time we spent at times the money we spent at time zero to build the railway, okay, actually supports all the money we earned over the next 30 years, right? Over the next 30 years. So now we have to match these two, match the expenses with the revenues. For example, at year one, the revenue we can receive is the train fare, right? Okay, this is the biggest proportion of our revenue, the train fare. Okay, the ticket fee we receive from the transportation. Okay, this is the train fare. And what about the expenses? Expenses that supports support the revenue. We know actually we in year one we did not have any expense, right? At least did not have any expense about the railway building. Maybe we have expenses to paying the train staff, right? Train employers, but we did not have expenses about the train, about the railway, right? But now, but now we just want to convert the expenses spent in time zero to the next 30 years, okay, to the next 30 years. So here there is a accounting term called depreciation. Depreciation means for example the total expenses you spend to build the railway, for example, is 100. Oh, we have the number here, right? It's 4.6 billion. Okay, 4.6 billion. We just take 4 billion here. Okay, 4 billion here to make it more simple. 4 billion. The total expenses is 4 billion, and we have to spend it. Also, for example, we make the lifetime as 20 years, okay, to make the calculation more simple. 20 years, okay. So we we spend 4 billion at one time to support the next 20 years of transportation. So for each year, when we spend this 4 billion yuan, which means the total asset, value. The total asset value of the railway is 4 billion, right? Is 4 billion. And this 4 billion will disappear, in 20 years, right? In 20 years. Because 20 years later, the railway is not valuable anymore, right? It's not valuable anymore, which means this 4 billion value will disappear. Okay, will disappear. Actually, here we have the assumption that the residual value of the railway is zero. Okay, just to make things more simple. Maybe 20 years later it's still worth, for example, $1 billion. But here we just take it as zero. Okay, as zero. The residual value is zero. So this $4 million actually will be spent in the next 20 years, right? In the next 20 years. So this is how we convert this 4 billion happened in time zero to the next 20 years. So every year, the money we spend will be 0.2 billion, right? 0.2 billion. We use a total of 4 billion divided by 20 years, right? So every year, the expenses we spend is 0.2 billion. Okay, so we use this 0.2 billion to match the revenues we can generate each year. But still, actually, here we still have a problem here. A problem here is that this this 0.2 billion here actually is not an accurate number of the expenses we spent, right? It's not an accurate number because we know the wear and tear of the railway every year may be different, right? For example, every year you carry different number of passengers, right? Or every year the weather is also different, right? Or there are maybe some accidental events that will cause extra damage to the railway, right? So actually, this $4 billion is not spread evenly in the next 20 years, right? It is not equally spent in the next 20 years. But here we just use a weekly right number. Okay, a weekly right number. So this 0.2 billion is a weekly right number. It is not an accurate number, but we know at least it is more accurate, more right, or we say more right, then we just simply take the expenses as zero, like before, right? Like before, we just take the expenses as zero. At least this 0.2 billion is more reasonable than zero, right? When it compares to zero. So here it is an application of the principle of weekly right, then precise wrong, which means we are trying to solve this problem, even though the solution is not perfect, right? Even though the solution is not so perfect, but we're still trying to solve this problem. At least we know the zero, we use zero to measure the expense is not right. So we try to solve this problem. And we know our solution is not so perfect, but at least we tried, right? We addressed this concern. Okay, so this is an application of would rather be weekly right than precisely wrong. Okay, so just till Till now, the term of depreciation arise in accounting. Okay, in accounting, we have the term of depreciation, which means you spread the total asset value, over the lifetime, the useful life of the fixed asset. Okay, so the equation for depreciation calculation is we use total cost of fixed assets divided by estimated useful life. Okay. Okay. And the next question is that first we're saying that financial statements is important. Financial statements are important, right? And next we said the financial statements are not fully they are not fully reflection of a company, right? Because some of the valuable assets are not reflected, right? Like the human resources of Macy and the reputation or brand of Cluny University. And also a shortcoming of financial statement is that sometimes we use assumptions, right? Instead of very accurate number to reflect the to reflect the financial performance of a company. So it is not 100% sure precise. This is the second limitation. But still we want to ask whether the role of financial statements is weakening or not when it has so many limitations. Is financial statements not important anymore? That's our question. So here nowadays, maybe 10 years ago, the financial statements may be the only resources or the only most important resources that we rely to gather information about the company. But now actually we have many alternative information sources. Like for example, we can get the economic news or industry news, company news from media, right? From social media, from or from some news apps, right? We can easily gain information about the financial performance of a company, and also the company apart from the financial statements, actually they are mandatory disclosure because the disclosure of financial statements are required by the regulators. They're mandatory disclosure. But apart from the financial statements, the mandatory disclosure, firms also have voluntary disclosures. Like, for example, they will disclose their a very important topic is ESG, right? What they did in ESG about the environment, right? What they did in the environment area, and what they did about the social, and what they did about the corporate governance. Okay, so they will have some voluntary disclosure to attract more investors who are who care about certain aspects. For example, who care about ESG. When the company realize a lot of investors care about ESG, then they will have more voluntary disclosure about ESG. Or they want to do expectation adjustment. For example, when some market intermediaries like the analyst or the medias, they are saying that the company earned a lot of money this year. The company has a very good performance this year. Then you are the manager of the company, right? You know, actually we are not that good. We're not that good. Actually, maybe we only achieve a growth, for example, of 2%, but the medias they are saying that you're achieving a 5% of growth. Then you don't want to disappoint the investors, right? So maybe you will do expectation management, which means maybe you will release some negative news about your company to adjust the expectation of the investors. Okay, so this is also some voluntary disclosure, and now the voluntary disclosure is growing more and more. Okay, and the third information source is from information intermediaries. Information intermediaries. For example, some institutions, they devoted to collect, process, interpret, or disseminate the company information, like the analyst, the debt readers, and also the short sellers. We said like the case of locking, right? The case of locking, actually, a lot of investors, they get the financial performance information about locking from this short seller, right? This short seller called Muddy Waters. They released a short selling report, right, revealing the income fraud of Luckin Coffee. Because for this market intermediaries, they have the incentive to do so because they can make money out of it. Like here, this is a operating store managers group of Luckin. Okay, of Luckin. And in this WeChat group, there is a notice here saying that starting from November 23rd, the pickup number rules will be changed. Currently, the pickup number increased one by one. For example, 207. This one. This screenshot is from the Muddy Waters short selling report. Okay, this is from their short selling report. Because they hire or maybe they are acting as some spy to join the operating store managers group, and they see this notice, the notice saying that now the pickup number is increasing one by one, and after upgrades it will increase randomly, like from 271 to 273, and then 274, 277. Okay, it's normal to see skipped pickup numbers. Please inform the store staff to prepare the orders by sequence. So this is from their WeChat group, and Muddy Water hired someone to find this, and then they also hired some interns to verify this phenomenon in their offline store, and then they release this short selling report. Okay, and also, so as you can see, when we have so many alternative information sources, so maybe in some degree the role of financial statements will will be weakened, right? Will be weakened. And also, we know that for firms in different stages, the importance of financial stimulus is also different. Like for some startup companies, the financial stimulus is not that important, right? Because their business model is not so sophisticated. They do not have stable income, do not have positive cash inflow. So it is not so reasonable to see their financial statements. But for some mature companies, especially the listed companies in the public market, for the listed companies, it is very important to see their financial statements. Okay, so the role of financial statements also determines on different stages of financing. Okay, let's take a break. Okay, take a break for take a break for 20 minutes. Okay, we come back at 4:20. Okay, we come back at 4:20.
好的，老师。
Okay.
Question.
好的。
Okay.
financial statements can help the shareholders to obtain cheaper capital because the information is more systematic. Or they have high quality financial reporting, then it will be easier for them to get cheaper capital. And with cheaper capital, it will benefit for the profit making of the shareholders, because for shareholders, their total value equals to the discounted cash flow, right? DCF, discounted cash flow in the future, minus the we say the cost of capital, okay, COC, cost of capital, or the or the required interest rate. The required interest rate actually is the cost of capital. When a company is very risky, then the lenders or the fund providers, like the bank, they will require a higher rate, right? A higher interest fee from them, which means the cost of capital for the company is higher. Okay, the cost of capital for the company is higher. Then the total value of the company will be lower, right? The total value of the company will be lower. So the shareholders, in order to maximize their value, they want to lower down their cost of capital. Okay, lower down the cost of capital. And one of the way to achieve cheaper capital is to provide high quality financial reporting. Okay, high quality financial reporting. But actually, the reality is that the managers, for the shareholders, they want high quality financial statements, right, to lower down the cost of capital. But for the managers, actually, they did not care about the accuracy of the measurement, right? Because they care more about their personal interest, their private interest, instead of the whole value of the shareholders. So there would be some conflict. And about the financial statements, you should always remember to read between the lines. Because it's not always what your eyes see. There will be some misleading information or even financial fraud in the financial statements. So when you see a company has very beautiful financial statements, actually maybe the beauty is it is decorated, it is manipulated, it is not what it originally is. Okay, for example, like here I give you an example. This is about the information disclosure of public firms about their blockchain investment. You know, blockchain in at least 3 years ago is a very heated investment, right? And a lot of investors, when they see the company is investing in blockchain technology, they will favor the company, right? And will give higher evaluation about the company. So then the companies, they want to cater to the investors, cater to the investors, and they will release more information about their blockchain investment. So as you can see, this plots the Bitcoin price and the number of public firms mentioning blockchain, okay, disclose their blockchain investments. in their 8K filings. 8K filings is a quarterly quarterly disclosure of their financial statements. And the blockchain keyword here includes like Bitcoin, and the cycle currency and blockchain. So here, as you can see, this one is for speculative disclosure, and this one is for existing disclosure, which means for speculative disclosure, although the company do not have any real investment on blockchain, they still reveal some blockchain keywords in their financial statements. And existing disclosure, which means they already invest in blockchain and they reveal it. And as you can see, actually the proportion, for example, take this period as an example, the proportion of speculative disclosure accounts for a high. It is very high, right? The proportion is high. And also in 2018 Q1, this proportion is also very high, right? This is also very high. This is also very high. So you can see a lot of disclosures about their blockchain investment are speculative, which means actually maybe the company is not seriously treating their blockchain investment, but they just want to mislead the investors to show off, to reveal that to the investors that, see, I'm investing in blockchain, please give me a higher evaluation, right? It more goes like this. And also if you combine the Bitcoin price with the number of speculative disclosure, you will see that when the blockchain, when the Bitcoin price increase, for example, in 2017 Q4 and 2018 Q1, you can see during this time when the Bitcoin price is high, they will also, the number of their speculative disclosure is also higher, right? It's also higher. So which means actually the company will follow the fluctuation of Bitcoin price to strategically disclose their investment in the blockchain. So this means the information in their financial statements are actually manipulated, right? According to the Bitcoin price and according to and not follow their true activities, not following whether they are truly invest in blockchain activities or not. They just want to mislead the investors. Okay. And also, actually, for a lot of companies disclosing their ESG investment, they also do the same thing. They just mention their, for example, they are saying that we're going to invest in like environmental protection. We want to introduce greener production lines next year. Maybe he is not saying what he has done, right? The real things, but he is saying some uncertain future things. So these are the manipulation of financial statements. And also, they can also do some manipulation following the accounting rules within the within the permission of accounting rules. For example, one of the strategy they take is through big bath. We say big bath. Big bath is a kind of manipulative accounting in the books of accounts where the company manipulates the income in a bad year. Okay, by degrading the income. Further, by degrading the income, thereby reporting even more loss than it actually is, so that the upcoming period or year looks better and make future results more attractive. Okay, more attractive. For example, when in this year, I know I will inevitably have a 10 million loss. Okay, a negative 10 million loss. I will have a 10 million loss in this year, and next year maybe the loss will also persist, but if the economic environment goes better, maybe I can maintain like 0.5, for example, million dollars of this is for 2020, for example. This is for 2021, and in 2021 I predict that I will have a 10 million loss. Okay, and in 2022 maybe I will just run the line of just being even, right? Maybe I will get a loss, and maybe I will earn a small amount of money. Okay, so in 2021 it is uncertain. Maybe I will lose, and maybe I can earn. But in 2020, I'm pretty sure that I will lose $10 million. So what should I do? So for the managers in 2020, they will make the loss even bigger than $10 million to make to leave the space for their future positive earnings. For example, in 2020, I will even make the loss to 15 million. Make the loss from 10 to 15 million, and into by, for example, by putting some orders. Okay, by putting some orders, some revenues from 2020 to 2021. Okay, so my loss is even higher. My loss is 15 million, and then because of $5 million of order, right, from 2020 to 2021, then in 2021 I will have an earning of 5.5 million, right? 5.5 million. So I will make sure that next year I can earn money, right? Next year I can earn money. Although this year I lose a lot, but for the investors, a 10 million loss versus a 15 million loss. Actually, they are they are very same to the investors, but for example, this is a negative one. Okay, a negative 0.5 million loss, and a positive 4.5. Okay, when this is a negative one, this another 5 million orders will make the net income 4.5. Okay, 4.5 million. Then for investors in 2021, a 0.5 million loss and a 4.5 earnings. These two situations, the latter one will earn much more favor from the investors, right? These two situations makes a big difference, but these two situations of losers, they would not make a very big difference, right? Because the company is already losing money. So whether it is losing 10 or 15, doesn't make that difference. But when a company can turn from losing money to earning money, it makes a huge difference, right? So when the big bath strategy refers to the company take a bath in 2020 when it already know it cannot make a lot of money, like in a bad year, right? Cannot make a lot of money. So I will make the loss even bigger to make sure the upcoming period look better and make future results look more attractive. So it is called the big bath. So the revenue maybe goes like this. In this year, I will have a sharp decline and then I will increase, right? Goes like this. And also, for a lot of companies in China, we have a regulation that if a company lose money for example, in a consecutive of 3 years, they lose money 3 years continuously, then the firm will be specially treated. For example, it will be restricted from get financing, right? From the stock market, for example. So if the company lose money for a continuous of 3 years, then it will encounter some trouble. So you will see many of the companies earnings goes like this. I lose money, and then earn money. Okay, and then I lose money, earn money, and I lose money, earn money. Goes like this. A very large fluctuation. This is actually because of their manipulation. They take big baths in bad years. In these years, they take big baths to make the loss even bigger, to make sure in the third year they can have a positive earning, to prevent them from being specially treated, specially treated. And in the fourth year they cannot persist, right? So they are losing money, and I even lose more money in the fifth year, and in the sixth year I should make some money, right? Because otherwise I'll be special treated. So next year I earn money. So as earnings just goes like this. When you see this kind of pattern, you will know that the company is manipulating its earnings, is taking a big bath. Okay, and the next part is about the framework of financial analysis. The framework of financial analysis, this is a relatively complete one. Of course, in our class, we cannot cover all this part. But I will just introduce you with about the framework. Okay, so to do financial analysis, we first have to focus on the wider scope to analyze about the business or environment or strategy of the company. Okay, the business mode, the micro environment, like the social, the political, the legal environment, and also about the company's strategy. It will all determine what the financial statements looks like. For example, in a company that pursue a low cost strategy and a company pursue a high quality strategy. For these two companies, you cannot just simply compare the like the ROE, right, or ROA. ROE is return on equity, and ROA is return on assets. So you cannot just compare the ROA or ROE of these two kinds of companies because they adopt different business strategies. For the low cost company, maybe their ROE is lower, right? It's lower because their competitiveness is their cost, and they are selling at lower cost, so their ROE is relatively lower. But for high quality strategic companies, they can earn a higher margin profit, right? So their ROE may be higher. So this is not because they are not performing good for the low cost company. It is because they just adopt different kind of strategies, right? So the first one is to analyze their business environments and their and also like the business environment include we say the pastel. There's several aspects, but pastoral aspects: political, environmental, social, technology, legal, right? And environmental. So this is about the first one. And the second one is to do accounting analysis. Accounting analysis actually is very similar, but still different from financial analysis, because accounting analysis focus more on whether the accounting data in the financial statement are actually or accurately reflecting the real activities of the company or not. Okay, but financial analysis is to using the accounting data to suppose the accounting data is accurate. Then we use the accounting data to help us to analyze, for example, the profitability of the company. Okay, whether the company is a profitable company, or whether the company is risky or not, to analyze the risk, or to analyze the efficiency of cash flow. Okay. But for accounting analysis, we will do more about, for example, whether the revenue is overrated or underrated, okay, or whether the expenses are overrated or underrated, or whether the cash flow are manipulated or not. Okay, so this is the differences between the two, which means the accounting analysis will still doubting about the accounting data. We'll still have some doubt on the accounting data. But for financial analysis, we just use the accounting data to help us to analyze different aspects of the company, like the cash flow adequacy, or the profitability, or the risk, or some credit analysis. And the last one is for perspective analysis. So this is more about the future, and the future will actually is determined by your future cash flow and also your cost of capital, right? The intrinsic value, the future is determined by your future cash flow, discounted cash flow, and the cost of capital. So this one actually is much more complicated, and we will not cover these aspects. And actually, in a lot of textbooks about financial analysis, will not cover the last part, and we will mainly focus on the accounting analysis and financial analysis. Okay, so the first one about business environment and strategy analysis. Just a very brief introduction. So industry analysis is usually the first step, since the prospectus and structure of the industry largely drive a company's profitability, right? If an industry is in the blooming stage, right? Then or fast growing stage, then the whole industry is making money. But when it goes mature, the competitive the product competitiveness become more severe, then the profit margin will go lower, right? And the strategy analysis is the evaluation of both the company's business decisions and its success at establishing a competitive advantage, which means what the company use, what strategy that the company use to help them to survive the competitive market, right? Like for example, whether they adopt a low cost strategy or a high cost strategy, or like with the Luckin Coffee, right? The Luckin Coffee and Starbucks. When Luckin Coffee at the early stage, actually its strategy is to do customer education, right? To do customer education to earn new customers, to earn new customers. But for Starbucks, it is to maintain its its current customers, right? To maintain its current customers. So their strategy is different. So Luckin, when it sells at a very low price, actually the loss of their discount actually is the expenses they spend on their customer education, right? On their customer education. But for Starbucks, their business is already very mature. So their strategy would be very different. You cannot just directly compare the profitability of these two companies, okay, because they have different strategies. And the second is accounting analysis. Accounting analysis is the process to evaluate and adjust financial statements to better reflect economic reality. So the accounting analysis is to or to put it more understandable, to find some tricks, okay, find some tricks that hide behind the accounting data to help us better understand the company's real financial performance, okay? So because for the accounting data, there will be some distortion problems, and the distortion problems can arise from the manager's estimation error. Sometimes the estimation is not so accurate. For example, I want to estimate how many years the computer can be used, right? Or the useful life of the computer, and the useful life of the computer will determine our depreciation cost of the computer, right? The depreciation cost of the computer, and the depreciation cost will determine our profits, right? Will influence our profit. So maybe because of your not so accurate measurement of the useful life, it will have some influence in our final profit. Okay, so this is because of the estimation error, and this kinds of error actually is inevitable, and it can goes into different directions. It can overestimate or underestimate. It is random, right? Sometimes underestimate, sometimes overestimate. So for these kinds of distortion problems, we don't have to pay so much attention, because it is not systematically distortion. It is just randomly sometimes underestimate, sometimes overestimate. Okay, so overall, it will not generate so much influence. But for for the next two, like the earnings management, and it will generate systematic distortion. Like for example, the big bets, right? The big bets we said a company takes will like the big bets, it will underestimate the revenue in 2020, right? And overestimates the revenue in 2021, right? So it will cause systematic distortion. And of course, there are some other earnings management methods, far more than your imagination. And the next one is accounting standards. For the accounting standards, like for example, whether you use what kind of cost to measure the asset you have, because we have many ways to measure the cost. Like we use the fair value, or fair cost, or historical cost, or a market cost, market value, market cost. We have many different kinds of measurement for different accounting standards in different countries. Maybe they follow different accounting standards, right? So their way of measuring different accounting terms will be different. Okay. But for you guys, when you are not a student in accounting, maybe you do not have enough expertise in accounting standards, so maybe you are more focused on the earnings management. And all this will generate accounting risk. The accounting risk means the accounting data cannot truly accurately reflect the reality of the financial status of the company. Okay, so for accounting analysis, in most cases, we will divide into three parts. The first is to analyze their investing activity, and second, the operating activity, and the fourth, the financing activity. And for all these three kinds of activities, actually we can find the supporting accounting data in different financial statements. For example, when we are talking about the investing activities, whether the accounting data can reflect the accounting activities, we know the investing means not only investment in the long-term asset, and also in short-term asset. Short-term assets include, for example, cash, right? The cash here actually means your deposit in your bank account. So in this way, actually, you are investing the cash to generate a interest fee return, right, from the bank, right? So this is for cash. And also accounts receivables are also investment, and like the inventories, the marketable securities, they are all current asset investment. And we also have non-current assets investment, like we invest in land, building, equipment, or patents, and to invest a lot in the research and development area, right, to gain more patents. And also some outside company investment, for example, by invest in a certain company to gain the control rights of the company. So this is a company invest in B, right? For example, to get a 30% share of B. Then this is a long-term investment, outside firm investment. So to find the investing activities, we go to the balance sheet, right? Because all the invested assets are listed here in the right side, right? In the left side, this is the balance sheet. In the left side, this is all the assets, right? In the right side, this is the debt and equity, right? So to look at the investment activities, we go to the balance sheet and see the assets. And for the operating activities, we should know, for example, the sales revenue, right? The cost of goods sold, the selling expenses, the administrative expenses, interest expenses, and tax expenses. Okay, so all these revenues and expenses can be seen in the income statement, right? Income statement, when we will want to know the net income we earn, how much money we earn. But if you want to know how much cash we earned through all these kinds of operating activities, then you go to the statement of cash flow. Okay, so it depends on your on your objective, whether you want to know that theoretically how much we earn, or you want to know the cash we earn, right? You know there are differences between net income and the cash flow, right? Because net income, the money you earn, doesn't mean that you can get the exact cash into your pocket. Maybe it is expressed as the accounts receivable, right? The money you can you have a claim to turn it into cash in the future. Like when you sell a product to someone and he didn't pay it in cash, instead he paid it by credit, right? Then you earn a net income, but you do not have cash flow, right? So these two are different. It depends on your goals. And the next activity, the third activity, is the financing activity. The financing activity means for example, how much money you owe others, right? Or how much money you lend to others. This also includes the short-term financing and long-term financing. Okay, short-term financing, for example, like the accounts payable, right? When you buy raw materials from your suppliers, you don't pay them in cash. Instead, you pay it by credit, right? So it will form a debt of you, and the debt is called the accounts payable, which means the suppliers, they have a claim in the future to turn this accounts payable into cash from your account, right? Okay, and also we have some long-term financing, like we issue some bonds, right? We issue some bonds, and the bonds payable are the long-term financing, and also we issue some new stocks, right? So these are all long-term financing. And about the financing, we can see it in the balance sheet, right? In the right side of the balance sheet, about our liabilities and our equity. Okay. And the financial analysis, they're the process to evaluate financial position and performance using the financial statements. So here we no longer doubt about the accounting data. Instead, we apply the accounting data to help us to evaluate different aspects of the company's performance. For example, we assess is profitability, right? So we calculate a lot of ratios using the accounting data to assess whether the company is profitable or not. And the next is the risk analysis. Evaluate the riskiness or credit worthiness of the company, which means actually here risky means whether your company has the capability to pay back the money or not. So in another way, it is called the credit worthiness. Okay. So in some cases, we also call credit risk analysis as credit analysis. Okay, as credit analysis. And the third part, we analyze the cash flow of a company to evaluate the sources and the deployment of funds. And the common tools we use to do financial analysis is to use the ratios to compute all kinds of financial ratios. Okay, so now we come to the framework of financial analysis, and we come to this part, okay, accounting analysis, to see whether there are distortions about the accounting data. Okay, so these are the three elements, materials we need to use the financial statements, right? The balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flow. So let's have a quick look about the three financial statements. The first one, the balance sheet. Actually, we already introduced it. Just to have a quick overview. And in the balance sheet, a most important thing that you guys have to know is there is a equation, right? In the balance sheet, which means the total investing equals the total financing, and the total investing goes to the assets, right? The assets, and the total financing are comprised by two parts: liabilities and capital, or we say equity, right? Equity. So here the number is this 29,000, right? Equals to 12,500 plus 16,500, right? So this is the most important equation in the balance sheet. Okay, the total asset, the liability, the equity. Okay, and about the income statement, we also have a equation which goes like this: the revenue minus cost of goods is the gross margin. Okay, not the net margin, is the gross margin, and the gross margin minus the operating expenses is the operating profit. Let's get back to this. So the sales minus the cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold includes the materials, right, to produce the goods, and the labor used, the salaries you paid for the labor to produce the goods, and some overhead expenses like the electricity fee in the factory, right? So these are all the overhead expenses. So these are the direct costs to produce the product. And when we use sales to minus the cost of goods sold, in most cases we write it as COGS. Okay, COGS, cost of goods sold. We generate gross margin, and when we use gross margin, minus the operating expenses, including the selling expenses, right? After you produce, you already produce the product, then you have to generate the revenue. You have to sell it, right? To generate the revenue, you have to sell it. So you will have selling expenses, and also the administrative expenses, and some depreciation and amortization expenses. Actually, in most cases, we include this into administrative expenses in the financial statements of China. Okay, we include this one into administrative expenses. So after you deducting the operating expenses from the gross margin, we get our operating income. Okay, get our operating income. So as you can see, the total sales is how much here? 5 million, right? 5 million. And the cost of goods sold is 2.5 million, right? So the gross margin here is 2.5 million. And the operating expenses is 2 million, right? It's 2 million. So we use this 2.5 minus 2, and we get 0.5 million of operating income. Okay, 0.5. And of course, when it is a big company, we may have some other income or expenses that is not so related to our main business. Then we include it here. Okay, so the other income and expenses is a positive 0.15. So we can generate, we use this 0.5 million minus this 1.5, right? 0.15. Then we get 0.65, right? 0.65 of income before you pay the taxes. And the tax rate is 35, okay, 35%. So we pay 35% over this payable income. Then we get our net income. This is our net income. Our net income is 0.5 or 0.4 2025 million, right? So this is the net income. And in the income statement, the equation you have to remember is revenue minus cost of goods sold equals to gross margin. Okay, and gross margin minus the operating expenses like the selling expenses, the administrative expenses, you get your operating profit. And after you plus some other income and other expenses, you get your income before tax, right? Some other income or other expenses. Then you get your income before tax, right? Before tax. And after you pay the taxes, you get your net income. Okay, you get your net income. So this is for the income statement. And the last one is about the statement of cash flow. It is relatively simple, just made by 3 parts: cash flow from operating activities, from investing activities, and from financing activities. We just list all the cash inflow and outflow belonging to different categories. Okay. And before we get down to the real accounting analysis, I want you guys to follow me to do a very simple illustration to help you better understand the cornerstone of accounting data, which is accruals. Accruals. So in this, in the accounting field, actually we have two ways to record all the financial data. One is based on cash basis, okay, which means we record all the activities just by the happen or that by the occurrence of cash, and the next is the accrual basis. Okay, accrual basis, which means we recognize the revenue once we complete all the steps that need to achieve the revenue. Okay, here I will give you an illustration, a very simple illustration to help you better understand the difference between cash and accruals. Okay. So here, suppose we establish a company. We want to establish a company, okay? And we in our pocket we have $700 equity, okay? This is the money we invest by our own, the money in our pocket. And using this 700, we want to sell t-shirt, okay, sell painted t-shirt. So we have to buy materials, right? And we also have to make some decorations about the t-shirt and then resell it to the market. So the next step is to purchase some plain t-shirt, okay, some plain t-shirt and the t-shirt sells for $5 each, okay, $5 each. And we also have to buy a screen machine, okay, screen machine, and this machine generates a fixed screen cost of $100. Okay, so this is our fixed asset. And we also have some other, so actually this is a long-term cost, or we say fixed cost, right? And we also have some variable cost, like we have variable print cost. When we want to print some picture on the t-shirt, on the plain t-shirt, it costs 0.75 per t-shirt. Okay, so this is our variable cost. Okay, this is more like a fixed cost. And after we produce, so this is the operating activity, right? When we produce the product, and after we produce the product, we have to sell the product, right? So we sell 50 t-shirt, and 25 t-shirt sell at 10 each for cash, and another 25 t-shirts sell at 10 for each on credit. Okay, so this is the main activities happened in our company, right? So now we want to convert all the business activities into accounting data, into the financial statement, okay, financial statements. And we based on two rules. One is the cash basis, and the second is the accrual basis. So now first we use the cash accounting, okay, cash basis. For the cash basis, first we generate our statement of cash flow, okay, our statement of cash flow. So for the cash, first the cash inflow, okay, the receipt left means the cash inflow. Cash inflow include we sell we sell 25 t-shirts for 10 each for cash, right? This is where we generate a cash inflow. Only here, right? Cash inflow. This one did not generate cash inflow, right? Because it is sale by credit. So the only cash inflow is the 25 t-shirt sell at $10 each in cash. Okay. And the payment, the cash outflow include first the t-shirt purchase. We purchase actually we purchase 100 plain t-shirt. Okay, purchase 100 plain t-shirt. We ignore this information. 100 plain t-shirt and for 5 each. Okay, for 5 each. So the t-shirt purchase cost us $105 each, which is 500. Okay, and the screen purchase cost us this one. The fixed cost, screen cost is 100. Okay, and the painting charges us 100 multiplied by 0.75 each. Okay, so the total payment the total payment here is 500, 175, which is 675, right? So this is our total cash outflow. And our cash inflow is this, right? So our net cash flow will be a negative. We use 250 minus. So this is a negative 425, right? A negative 425. So it seems that if we are using the cash basis, we are losing money, right? It seems we are losing money because we only gain 250, but we have to pay this much, right? We have to pay this much to generate the revenue, of 250. And about the balance sheet, we only consider about cash. So the cash we left, because do you still remember we start by 700 cash, right? 700 cash, and then we earn another 250 by selling the t-shirt, but we still paid a lot of prices, a lot of expenses to earn this 350, which is 675. So the total cash left is this much. Okay, is this much. This is the total cash left. And in the right side of the balance sheet, which describes where the cash comes from. The cash, first we have our equity, right? Equity is 700, and also we have a net cash outflow, right? Which is this one, cash outflow. So our total equity is also 275, okay, which is balanced with our asset. Okay, so this is from the cash basis, which showing that in our balance sheet we have 275 cash left, right? And by doing this business, actually we are losing money. We are losing 425. Okay, and now we turn to our accrual accounting. Because for the cash accounting, it is a little contradictory with our intuition, right? Because when we just do a very simple math, for the t-shirt we sell at 10 each, and the plain t-shirt is 5 each. And for the variable printing cost is 0.75. And for the fixed cost, the total cost is 100. And we have 100 t-shirts, right? So for each t-shirt, the fixed cost is $1. So it seems actually this is a money earning business, right? It can help us to earn money, which is 3.25, right, each. But when we use the cash accounting, actually it shows we are losing money, right? We are losing money. Our cash is becoming less and less, and there are cash outflow. But when we turn to accrual accounting, it will show us the reality and will be more consistent with our intuition. So for accrual accounting, in the income statement, the revenue we earn is 500. Why 500? Why not 250? Because we sell 250 by cash, right? And another 250 by credit. And this credit actually is also the revenue we earned, right? The revenue we earned because we already produced them and we already sell it to the customers, and we have a claim on the future cash from the customer. So we can recognize a revenue of 500, okay, of 500. And the expenses include the t-shirt cost, the plain t-shirt cost. Here, as you can see, we sell a total of 50 t-shirts, right? 25 in cash, 25 in credit, okay? So we sell 50 t-shirts. And of this, so in the accrual basis, we have to match the revenues with the expenses, which means when you calculate the revenues, you are calculating the revenue for 50 t-shirts, right? And when we calculate about expenses, it also have to be the 50 t-shirts expenses. So for the plain t-shirt, 50 plain t-shirts, it costs us 50 multiplied by 5 each, right? Which is 250. And about the screen cost, we also for each one because the total cost is 100 and it is for 100 t-shirt, right? So for each one it is $1. And here we are calculating the depreciation cost for 50 t-shirts, right? And for the printing charges, also for the 50 t-shirt, for 0.75 each. So the total expenses is the sum of these three. And the net income will be a positive one, right? Will be a positive one because we use 500 minus 770 337.5. Okay, so this is our net income, a positive one. And about the balance sheet, the total asset here no longer just includes the cash. We also include some other form of asset, like here the cash is still 275, right? Because originally we have 700 and then we use 675 to buy the plain t-shirt to produce all the materials, right? And we earn cash of 250. So this is the cash we left, okay, in our account. And apart from the cash, we also have some other assets like the t-shirt inventory, which means the 50 because we produce 100 t-shirts, right? 100 t-shirts, but we only sell 50 t-shirts. So we have another 50 left, right? Another 50 t-shirts left. So this 50 t-shirt is the t-shirt inventory. And for the t-shirt inventory, it's worth 330 7, right? 337.5, just like the 50 t-shirt we just sold. Their expenses, their costs are the same, right? Their costs are the same. So this is for the t-shirt inventory. And we also have receivables, which means the 250 we sell by credit, right? By credit. This is combined with the 250 sell by cash. These are all the assets a company is possessing or control. So this is the total asset based on accrual accounting, the total asset. And about the equity, the beginning equity is 700, right? And we add a net income of 162.5. So our total equity is 862.5, which is balanced with our assets. So now you can compare the cash accounting with the accrual accounting. In the cash accounting, it seems we are losing money, right? But actually, we're just losing cash. We're not losing money. We're just losing cash. We're not losing revenue, right? We're losing cash. And for the cash, we only have 275. But if you turn it into a accrual perspective, then the money you earned in this period is a positive one. And the total assets you have not only include the cash, but also like the inventory, right? The receivables. So in this perspective, you will have a larger scale of assets. Okay. I guess this is all for today's class. Thank you guys for your participation. Thank you.
谢谢老师。
Thank you so much.
没事，谢谢大家，辛苦了。好，拜拜。
Thank you，拜拜。
再见，
谢谢老师。
再见，老师。
没事，
拜拜。辛苦了，老师。
拜。
This is a crazy floor optical illusion. It may look pretty normal at first, but wait until he throws water over it at the end.